Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is the 11th of March. I didn't do anything yesterday because it was my birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy
So
birthday.
I turned
My
the big,
birthday's this much too.
I
My
turned the,
birthday's the 18th.
I turned the big 5-3. So
Ooh, I'm a lot further than you. I'll be 64
64. All right.
on the 18th.
On the 18th. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got, yes. Make sure everything is up and running. Oh, yeah. Here's my background for us today. And there we go.
Yeah,
Yes,
all
the
that. I
farm.
can see a little bit of it. Yeah. I wish I
So,
could make it bigger on my phone, but it's fine. It's fine.
okay. Well, today we have Dawn. She went
Oh,
to Rebekah Home for Girls, correct?
yeah.
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 1976.
76. Yeah.
76. I was 4 years old. Wow. All right. I was there in 1980 or 81, 82 was when I was there. And I
You
was
got
actually,
sent there like really young then, because I
oh,
was 15. I was 15 when I got sent there, and I turned 16 while I was there.
I was in the school in the back of the Rebekah Home.
Okay.
Remember
They had a lot of buildings out there. I remember the boys.
It was
Like
directly
when we would come to church.
It was directly behind the Rebekah Home. They had
The school was back there, but that's where it was across like the Rebekah Home, and then you had that big area that looked like a basketball court or something, and the school was back there.
Yep.
But that's where we went to school at.
Right, you were upstairs.
There was no boys. Yeah, there was no. Well, I don't remember any boys being there. It was just us girls. Well, so that might have been something new that got started up after I was gone.
Right. It was an elementary school. So I started off at the Park Avenue elementary school in Corpus itself on Park Avenue Street. Then after that, I went to the farm and I finished out my elementary school there. So we were downstairs and the Rebekah girls were upstairs. So
I'm pretty sure that's something that had to be new after I had left, because I was only there for 1 year. 1 year. And thank God that my mom sent a plane ticket and I got to go back home, just 1 year. I think the only reason that you were only allowed there 1 year was because state would pay them for you to be there. Like they got state funded, or not state, but I don't know. They got funding.
Donations.
There was no way that they could take care of all of us there without our parents. My mom would have never sent me there if she had to pay for all of my expenses and everything like that. I am sure that it was like church funds or stuff that kept us where we were there.
Well, that's why.
But you were only allowed to be there 1 year. Mom signed me up for 1 year. And then after the 1 year, if she wanted to keep me there, I think that she'd have to pay. And that's the reason she only kept me there 1 year.
So what was your addiction? Were you addicted to drugs? Were you, an alcoholic?
God, no. No. None of that. Let me tell you the story of how I got there. All right. This is how I got sent there. Now, I have an older sister. My sister was running off every time my sister left the house. She wouldn't come back home. My sister, when she got allowed to date, she just went stark raving mad. She running off here and running off there, and she just went stark raving mad. And I'm at home. I had my friends that I went to school with. I just wasn't like that. I wasn't into that or anything. I mean, but my mom got to her wits' end with my sister, and my grandparents knew about the Rebekah Home for Girls. And my mom was going to the church, Landmark Christian. Then we got drugged down there every time the church doors were open. And she she fixed it where she set everything up for my sister to go there because mom, my sister was kind of acting foolish and stupid. I know that because I had to get the brunt of that because every time she did something, then I could, but so my sister caught wind that she was fixing to go get sent there. I think she overheard a conversation or something, or that my mom was having, but she never said nothing to me about it. And then she just up one night, she ran off and ran away again. And but mom had already bought these plane tickets. She had already paid. She had bought my sister clothes that she was allowed to wear there. She had spent all this money to take my sister there. Well, my sister run off and they couldn't find her. And then mom had all this non-refundable stuff. And I didn't know anything about any of this. I found out about it later. That's how I found out about it later. And so my mom came to me, your sister's been just doing all this and doing all that, and it's just got me at my wits' end. Would you like to take a vacation with me? And I said, Mom, I would love to go on a vacation. And she says, well, it's just going to be me and you, and we're going down to see the Weatherfords in Texas. And I said, Texas? Really? How are we going to get there? Oh, we're going to fly. And I'd never flown before, never flown. I'm like, oh, wow, hey, yeah, sure. But I never knew about this Rebekah Home for Girls. I never knew. Like, me and my sister didn't hang around. We had different friends and stuff. Like, I had my neighborhood friends, but my sister hung around with the older crowd and stuff. And so anyway, so mom I pack my bag and everything. She packs hers. We go to the airport. We get down there. And some strange man come and picked us up in his van. And I'm like, who's that? And she's like, oh, he works for the Weatherfords. He's going to take us there. I thought we was going on a vacation to visit Weatherfords that she knew from the church. Now, I don't know who the Weatherfords are, but I think they're probably somebody's last name connected to that damn Rebekah Home for Girls, because we're driving and I'm like, this is strange. This is strange. I got a weird vibe, but I'm young. I'm only 15, thinking I'm going on a vacation. And then we pull up into the front of the place and I read across the building, it had it, you've seen it, Rebekah Home for Girls. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I was very scared. I was scared I wouldn't get out of the car. I'm not getting out of the car. They got out of the car. You got to come in. I'm like, I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out. And I was holding on. And then the people come out and drug me out of the car and took me in there. And get in there. And I'm like, Mom, what is going on? What is going on? Why? What are we doing here? And she stayed for a couple days before she left, and she stayed next door. They had that building next door for the older people.
Uh-huh.
And when I got there, like, they took me to a room, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. And I'm thinking, when my mom comes back over, I'm going to talk her in, like, Mom, you're not leaving me here, are you? And everybody was, my sister's, I'm not going to give her last name, but my sister's name is Diana. Everybody was calling me Diana. Diana this. Even my stuff was like Diana, like everything. And I'm like, I ain't Diana. I'm her sister, Dawn. I'm not Diana. So I was the consolation prize for going there, because my mother had spent all that damn money for the trip and everything. And my mom was following through with it,
Right.
And I'm telling you, and my mom, I have talked to her about it over the years. Why did you send me there? What was I doing so bad? Well, you was running up down the roads with Jan Lee, and you was running up down. I'm like, Mom, they were my friends. They came to the house. You liked them. I wasn't running up and down the roads. They just lived down. We walked to each other's houses. We didn't have cars or drive or anything. And so Yeah, I was like the consolation prize for my sister because my mom had spent all that money and couldn't refund it back. So I guess, once that's like, um, I have a younger brother that's 4 years younger than me. And I have, I've got an older brother, but uh, once my mom had a baby, her name is Cheryl. She's old now, but she was 2 years old. And once she had Cheryl, she just couldn't deal with teenagers no more. It was like, I got this 2-year-old. I can't deal with teenagers. That's my dog. Sorry. He barks when people's coming in the house. There you go. There you go. Come here. But yeah. So it was so shocking to be there because I knowed I wasn't supposed to be there. I mean, I knowed I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was there. And then when she left, I was begging her, Mom, please take me back home. I don't belong here. But she left and left me there.
Was Faye
She left and
Cameron?
left me there.
Was Faye Cameron supervising the home at that time?
There was different people that were there. I know the Camerons were there, and then they had another little old lady. See, you're bringing up the Weatherfords. Yeah. Wasn't that Papa and Granny's last name? The Weatherfords.
Yes.
That lived in the apartment.
There was a Miss Yoder's too.
I remember Miss Yoder.
She was a sweetheart.
Yes. Yes. Now, let me tell you something. I mean, as far as getting there and going there and everything, once I got over the shock of being there and I knew my mom left, and I knew I was all the way down in Texas, I was like, okay, I'm here, And then they would put you in a room with girls that had been there a long time because they were like the girls that would tell you the rules and this and that. This is what you do. This is what you do. I know when I unpacked my suitcase, what I packed in my suitcase was not what I brought. It was all clothes that were, my sister's older than me and she's way bigger. Oh my God. I had all these weird clothes, that you were allowed to wear while you were there, It was very strange. The beginning of being there was like I was surprised that somebody didn't come and get me, like some of my other family members. I used to sit and stare and hope somebody would come and get me because I felt like my mom had just lost her mind.
I remember there was a dress code for the girls when I saw them there. They either had
a dress. Yeah, we had dress code.
The blue dress or the red dress. I think the red dress was on Wednesdays or something like that.
Yeah, we had certain outfits that we wore on certain days. We had like 3 different outfits that we wore to go to church.
And those god awful culottes.
Oh, we called them gauchos. We called them gauchos. Yeah. They come down to your knees and wide.
I think that was Roloff's way of birth control. For the guys would see the girls in those things and go, oh, no thanks.
Yeah, but you could run around, play baseball and basketball because you had that, when we would have like where we go outside, like we would play basketball and softball or whatever. Like they had that big court out there, that concrete court. And that concrete court wasn't all that great. It had weeds growing up back when I was there.
Yes, it did. It did. We used to play kickball out there. Yeah, the weeds were bad.
Yeah.
Through the crack. And the come and dine. We used to eat there at the come and dine.
Oh, God, the come and dine. Well, I was only allowed to eat in the dining room. So, and they fed you kind of strange there. Like, you couldn't eat any pork. You couldn't eat any meat that the animals had a forked foot.
Yeah. Cloven hoof. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the foot, which I thought was weird, but
it's in the Bible. That's why.
Yeah. A lot of crap in the Bible.
I know. But Roloff was 100%. He goes by the Bible 100%.
I bet you he had a piece of bacon.
Oh, I'm sure he did. His
Yeah.
wife certainly did. She was a big woman.
Oh, I know. And I seen on your podcast, like she never came to church and stuff. And so we would always ask why, how come his wife's not here? And they always said, well, she's sick. She's sick. She's sick. She's not in good health, but she never died or nothing. She's not in good health, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, they would move you around to like every now and then they would move you around and put you in different rooms because if you became too close as a group, like each room had 3 beds in it. And then we called them bathroom mates. And so there were 2 rooms, 3 beds in each room, but in the middle was a bathroom. So you had 6 girls sharing a bathroom. The bathroom's pretty good. It had 2 sinks, mirror, and then bathtub and everything. So we called them our bathroom mates. And we had doors to go back and forth. And so, but they would move you around because if you became too close and too friendly, and they would think that, they would move you around and you'd have different roommates. They'd move you around a little bit, like let you live together. These girls this way. And, some of the girls left and went home, or some of the girls, I don't know, uh, uh, but yeah, we had the bathroom mates. Yeah. And
did you have the roll off? What is that? That broadcast he would do, family altar program.
Oh my God, it was on the wall. It was a big old speaker on the wall up there.
Yes.
The speaker was about it looked like a giant monitor. It was sticking out like old timey.
Yep.
Yeah, the broadcast would go. You didn't have TV, you didn't have radio, you wasn't allowed magazines, you wasn't allowed newspapers, nothing like that. Only books we were allowed to read was the books that they had there. You couldn't nobody could send you books to read. But that damn broadcast. Yeah. Yeah. And also they could listen in on you. They was always listening,
Yeah.
So we would go, we had walk-in closets in our room. So when we didn't want to be listened to all the time. So we'd go in our little walk-in closets and share like our stories of when we was at home. And it was just little girl stories. We were 15, 16, somebody might be 17, but once you got 18 years old, they moved you over to the building next door. The older girl.
Jubilee Home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the Rebekah Home, then you had the Jubilee Home, and then you had the City of Refuge, then you had Anchor.
That was for the alcoholics or something, wasn't it? Wasn't the Refuge?
City of Refuge was for the men, older men.
Oh, okay. I know I thought it was like for alcoholics, like older people that were alcoholic, older people that had like issues.
According to Roloff, everybody there was an alcoholic or a drug addict.
Oh my God.
But see,
I wouldn't even know.
That's how he made his money. He would go out in his Liberty Bell, right? Take his honeybees with him.
Yeah, I remember the honeybees. They sang in church.
They would go from church to church and church. They would sing. He would give us, his sermon, and then he would get donations. And
I've been on Lester Roloff's plane. I got to fly on that plane one time.
Thank goodness you weren't on it when it went down.
Oh my God. When I was on it, the time they came because the honeybees used to go do private, they would go do private singing somewhere or something. The honeybees were somewhere else. And I don't know if it's but they weren't available. And so they called me down to the office. Oh, Dawn, pack your bag, pack this, pack that. They told me what uniform to put and everything because we had to have matching uniforms. You're going on a plane with Lester Roloff. I'm like, really? This was after I was there for a while because, I was there for a little while and I conformed to you. When you're there, it's better off to conform to what they want you to do because life is a little bit easier. If you're combative or anything, I'm like, okay, because you get more privileges, you get this, you get that. And so they came, they said, and it was like, right then, pack your bag. You're going on the plane. I'm like, oh, wow, hey. And they picked like 4 of us girls. And I'm telling you why we got picked, because we were pretty. But we knew the songs because we was in church all the time. And we knew the songs of the Honeybees because we used to sing back. I was in the choir and everything. But I went on that damn plane. Woo! He would fly. It was storming when we were flying back. And it was so loud in the plane that we would yell at each other because we were afraid the plane was going to crash. We would yell across it because it had like 4 seats behind it. It was a little bitty tiny plane. It wasn't that
Right.
great old big.
There was 3
And
of them.
it was so loud in there that you couldn't even. And then they had windshield wipers. That's how old the plane was. It had windshield wipers. I'm telling you, it
Yeah.
was most frightening. And I was so thankful to get back. I was like, I am never going to get on a freaking plane again. Not with that man, because he would fly in anything. Oh, we're going. Time to go.
Well,
And we went. Go ahead.
I heard a sermon because Roloff, they don't quit. They have a 24-hour family altar program. It's on roloff.org. Trust me, it's nothing to. But he was talking about how God had his angels under the wings of the Liberty Bell.
They was under him that night.
Yeah, well, when he
It was
crashed, I
horrible.
think they must have had a day off.
Yeah, I remember hearing about when he crashed, and I had been back home for a while. It was a few years later, and I used to
82.
wake up. Yeah, I used to wake up for work with a radio, and I would have it on the news so I could hear like the weather and stuff. Because I had to wake up, living in Ohio, you want to hear what the weather's like, if it's slick, if it's this, if it's that,
Yeah.
especially in the wintertime. And so I was laying in bed, and the news that came on, and it said that, and I'm like, oh my God, And so I called my mom and I said, Mom, Lester Roloff died. He crashed his plane. He died in the plane crash. And she's like, oh my goodness, oh my gracious. But I'm not surprised he didn't crash before then. I'm telling you, I'm surprised.
I heard he was pretty reckless with his flying.
He was that night. It was like that plane was like, we all felt very unsafe. The girls back there. Now he had the co-pilot up there, and it was another lady. It was like his right-hand girl that flew with him. That was his co-pilot. And I can't remember her name, but she was short and skinny, and she had short, really curly hair. I can't remember her name. I think she was one of the honeybees, but I cannot remember her name.
And I think
it's been too many years.
And I think I'm not really too certain. People might know in the comment section, but I think one of Weatherford's daughters was there, or somebody's daughter was on it when it crashed. I don't know if it was the Weatherfords or if it was.
Well, I know one of their daughters. She was part of the honeybees.
Yeah.
But now when I was there, they had like the building that was next door that she moved into an apartment next door. She was allowed to move into an apartment, her and another girl. They were older. And I don't know why, but I called them apartments that was in the building next door. And now she sang for the honeybees, and she was allowed, she didn't have to live in the apartment in the building no more because she's older and moving on in her age and stuff. But she sang with the honeybees. She's a good singer too, by the way. The honeybees were good singers.
Yeah.
They
the
were
harmony.
good.
The harmony was great.
Yeah. They were really good. And because we listen, but when she moved into that apartment building with the other roommate that she was in, I call it apartment. I don't know if it was efficiency or if it was just like where we lived. I was never privy to go in that building or nothing. They never let us go nowhere except for where we were supposed to. But her and that little girl ran off, and they was gone about a week, brought them back. They brought them back. the Weatherford's daughter ran off with this girl, brought them back, and they just picked up where they left off, like she never done nothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think they was just glad that they came back. I think they ran off together and it wasn't all that great, and then they came back. It was something like that.
Did you ever have to give your testimony in front of the church?
Yeah. The only time I ever had to do that was when I was fixing to leave, and it was my time to go, and the date and everything. And they would call you up for your testimony. And they called me up, and I can't even remember what I said. This is basically what I said. I said, I'm gonna get to go home tomorrow, or whatever. I'm gonna get to go home. But girls, one day all of y'all are gonna get to go home too. One day it's gonna be your day. And that's pretty much what I said, because I wanted to talk to the girls,
Yeah.
and that was my testimony. I didn't have to talk about Jesus. I came here and God, that's what I said. And then he kind of patted me on the back and he said, that was nice. That's all. I mean, you get called up to the stage and you kind of got stage fright, because he had a large church.
Oh, yes, he did.
Even though we got up and sang and we were in the choir and everything, you had everybody else there. It was weird though, going to church. This is what was weird. They made us wear the uniforms and everything, but you had to come in single file, sit down, sit down. They kept us up at the front over on the side. Sit down, sit down. You wasn't allowed to turn around and look at nobody. You wasn't allowed to look at the crowd. You had to keep your face forward. And then when you got marched back out, you had to also look forward too and not turn around and look at people. You weren't allowed to turn around. And then they had those spotters that sat in the back. And if you did turn around and kind of look at people or something like that, you would get told about it. It was like a demerit system.
Yes. Demerits.
It was like the demerits. You get a demerit, and then you got so many demerits. Like, a demerit would take the privileges away.
Or give you licks, one of the two.
Yeah, I got licks when I was there. When I first got there, I think I was there about 3 weeks, and this was like my roommate that was like telling me the rules and what to do. She was part of the choir. So I joined the choir. I'm like, might as well. She's in the choir. And she's like, Dawn, it's fun. You get out of the building, get to go. So we would practice on Saturdays, singing. We would have our choir practice, just nobody else in the church, but they would let us go use the bathrooms when we first come in, because they like everybody go use the bathroom, because you're not getting them going to the bathroom. So they would let us use the bathrooms. And I noticed that the windows in the bathrooms you could pull them up. I'm like, oh, wow, hey. And so there was these two other little old gals. I don't even remember their names or who. And I told them, I said, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. When we go, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to raise that window, and I am taking off. And then them two little old gals followed me. Of course, we didn't get very far because we was noticed not sitting in the seats. And so they sent out the people. They had people that lived on the farm that watched us. And here they come. And we ran through a field. We ran through this field, but little did we know this field, like when we got into the field, that the mud was so thick that you couldn't even run. The mud, like you sunk down like 6 inches. So we stuck out like a sore thumb, because, Texas is flat.
Yes.
And you can see a mile away. And there they were. They seen all they had to do is pull on the side of the road. They saw us, drug us back. So I can't tell you how many licks I got, but I'm going to tell you something. The licks were, my butt was black and blue, very bad. You couldn't sit down. You couldn't sit. You couldn't lay. Both your butt cheeks. And then, it was purple. And it took a couple weeks for the bruises to heal. I mean, I don't know how somebody hits somebody that hard with a board and it's okay. I mean, they hit you with a big old board.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They did
And
it with me too.
they make you put your hands on the desk. Yeah. In the office. They did it in the office down there.
And those paddles, the ones that I got hit with had holes in them. So they could swing them faster.
Well, yeah, because the wind blows through it.
Less air resistance, yeah.
Yeah.
You know how Roloff said, better a pink bottom than a black sole.
It wasn't pink. There's my dog again. Daggy, hush. Sorry.
That's all right.
Hey. Yeah, he's a little chihuahua.
Yeah. I have a chihuahua myself, so.
He barks at people. I live in a building that has 2 apartments upstairs, so that's my neighbors coming home. They're all nice. We get along so great here. I love my neighbors.
You know what's funny? Some of the my dad, we'd go to that. Even though I was a city kid that went to school there, we went to church there as well. We were there Sunday morning.
So you lived in Texas at the time that you
I'm from Corpus Christi. That's where I'm from. That's my hometown.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you knew that place existed.
Yeah.
Or did you not? Like when you got sent there, well, you went to church there, so you already knew.
Right.
That it was there.
Yeah. Because I said I went to the elementary school in town at Park Avenue Elementary. Do you remember a lady? A lot of people don't remember her, but her name was Mrs. Copeland. Big, tall. I'd say she was probably over 6 foot. She must have weighed about 100 pounds. And she had this big gray bouffant hairdo with big old glasses.
Let me ask. Alexa, stop. My alarm's going off. Oh. Sorry, it's my Alexa. I had to tell her stop. I'm not sure about Mrs. Copeland. Now, there was, I remember Aunt Neener. Aunt Neener, and I loved Aunt Neener. She was in charge of the sewing room, and she was a big woman, but she weighed a lot more than 100 pounds. She's big. She wasn't like fat. She was just big, kind of Dr. Phil big. You know how he's big and tall, big, broaded and stuff. Big bone. Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Big. Yeah. And her name was Aunt Neener. And she was in charge of the sewing room. And I loved her. It took me a while to love her, though. Took a hot minute to love her because she's very stern. Everybody was afraid of her. But because I love sewing so much, because I used to sew before I even went there. My mom was always sewed and stuff, and I always sewed and stuff at home. I crocheted. I did all that. And so you could get jobs there was one time I worked in the kitchen. I like working in the kitchen because you got privy to the better food, Yeah, because the food there was weird. But I got a job in the sewing room making the uniforms, and I was I already knew how to sew, so I was good at it. So she didn't have to teach me or anything. I mean, as far as teaching the big machines and stuff, because we used to, I don't know if I'm getting off track here talking about Aunt Neener, but she is the one woman. She is the one woman. Like once I started working in the sewing room, like I was allowed to go over there and like have extra hours because there was a lot of time. Like we made new uniforms all the time, and we had to have a deadline. So I was allowed to stay in the sewing room and not have to go back and sit in the room, listen to the broadcast, memorizing the scriptures. Like they always had you memorizing stuff.
A chapter a day.
Oh my God, how that was excruciating.
Yeah.
How in the hell, how in the world? But we would do the best that we could, and but I was allowed to stay over there, and she took a liking to me, and hardly nobody liked her, but I loved her. My last day of working and this is something else that Aunt Neener would do. Like when we would have like extra pieces of material, like the leftovers, She's like, here, Dawn, you can have these. And then I would make skirts. Like I would have one pattern of a skirt and I make different colors. Like I'd make a yellow skirt, a blue skirt, you know. And I was allowed to do that, you know. And the day, my last day of working in the sewing room, she cried. And I ain't never seen that damn woman cry because she was so stern. Everybody was afraid of her, like she was mean and all. The woman wasn't mean, but she had a job to do because her job was big, getting those uniforms out. You know, there's a lot of girls to make uniforms there. And it wasn't just me that worked in there. There's other girls too. And it was a big job making those uniforms. Big. You had to make
what about typing? Did you ever do typing?
No, I never did the typing. I never when I left from there, I did go to vocational school and I took up typing and modern office occupation. Well, I took accounting and modern office occupations, and then, you know, I learned typing there. But no, I never took the typing class. I just wanted to get through the pace. Like I would apply myself when when we went to school, because we had our little cubicles. You weren't allowed to talk to nobody, weren't allowed to cheat, weren't allowed to do this. So you would just like focus on your pamphlet and focus and do that. So yeah, you know, it's been so many years. And let me tell you that I can tell you that it's been so many years that I am just like, after watching that show on Netflix called The Program, and then I'm like, I'm going to look up Rebekah Home for Girls and see if they're on Netflix or not on or on YouTube. Because, you know, you can look on YouTube and find a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And I was shocked to find that somebody was still interested. Like you would think everybody be dead and gone or whatever. Like all those people that were there, they were a lot older than we were. Or they are a lot older than we are now. And I was really surprised that so it's like bringing back the memories, you know, and like so many memories have come back. And I'm going to tell you something. They had stuff going on there. They had those private rooms that were there. The private rooms were on the inside. Like there was rooms that had windows, and then they called the private rooms were rooms that didn't have windows. Well, they didn't put girls in those no more. And I think it was because if there was a fire or something, they couldn't get out. Well, little do they know, we couldn't get out our windows either. Our windows were sealed shut and had alarm. They had the alarms on them, the alarm stuff that go around, and the windows were sealed shut. You couldn't open them or nothing. So the private rooms got closed down, but they kept them and they painted the walls black, and all they had was carpet in them. And then when somebody would act up or do something that was just beyond whatever, they would take them in and they would handcuff them to the pipes up underneath the sink and handcuff them in the rooms and just play it real loud in there. And they would keep them in there. And I remember one time, now they didn't lock everybody up all the time, but when they would lock them up, they would be in different, because they had a lot of those private rooms, a lot, but they only you had to do something really bad to get locked up. I don't know what they did or what happened. Sometimes if you cursed or you was combative with one of the people, just cursing, you got to get put into a lockup room, and there was a girl, she was right across the hall from ours, and we could hear her in there crying. And I'm like, oh my God. And so they'd make you come out and line up in the hallways. And when the people were way far away, we would get down at the bottom of the door. You know how you can talk up underneath the door? So we'd be like, honey, it's okay. Just do what they say. And they'll let you out. And then we'd have to sneak back and get in line because we felt really sorry for her being in there. So,
well, it was like I said, the people that went to church there, they were weird. They were some really weird people. Not your average normal church congregation.
Yeah, it turned me against organized religion. You know, I don't like organized religion anymore.
Well, do you remember when the state tried to come in and a whole bunch of pastors chain linked themselves around the Rebekah Home? I think this was late 70s when it happened. They call it the Christian Alamo.
Well, I don't think that happened while I was there. But I can tell you that I do remember that there was one time, this was right before I got to come home and stuff. There was one of the boys that got abused really bad at, was it the lighthouse?
The lighthouse was for the younger boys, and the anchor was for the
one of them was on a boat.
Like the late teenagers, like 15, 16,
Do you remember
17.
the boat? Remember they used to have a big boat that the boys stayed on?
Oh, that was over at the canal.
Yeah, there was a boat.
That was the lighthouse before it came to the farm.
Okay, so yeah, because I remember they had the boat, and the boys lived on the boat. It was a big boat, you know.
Yeah.
But we all kind of got wind to it, the girls and everything, while I was there. And we wasn't allowed to talk about it. They say, you can't talk about that. You can't talk about that. But one of the boys had gotten abused to the point where he had to, like, they came and got him, and the authorities came. And then we were like, yay, yay, finally somebody. And we couldn't talk about it. If they heard us talking about it, we'd get in trouble. The people, they had lots of, the people that worked there. And you get in trouble if you got caught talking about it. But we talked about it amongst ourselves. We were like, yay, yay, finally, maybe somebody will come and tell these people they got to stop doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because even though I conformed to be in there, the only reason I conformed to be in there because it was easier to do that. Did I ever draw into what they were saying and being a born again Christian and, all this and all that? Of course I had to do the Bible. Of course I did this. Of course I did that. But once I came home from there, I never looked back. Yeah, your microphone's acting funny. Yeah, your microphone's got a lot of static on it. Yeah. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
That better? That better?
Yeah. There was a bunch of static.
Yeah.
Now I'm just sitting here on the couch. I'm not walking around. I have no TVs on or nothing.
I think what the thing was a lot of the boys, whenever they would age out, for some reason they always got the call to preach. You know what I mean? All the boys, they always got the call to preach.
Oh yeah.
So I think Roloff was trying to, with these girls and boys, they wanted the women to be, they were teaching them to be wives, basically, cooking, sewing, all that stuff, so they could marry somebody from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Build up his own little community, almost like
I know that
Manson
there were
or Jim Jones.
There were girls that aged out from there that decided they wanted to stay, and he would let them stay. And then they became workers there.
Yeah.
They didn't want to leave. They didn't want to go back home to their families. They didn't want to
Yeah.
stay. But I will tell you something. 90, I would say about 80% of the girls there were some that were court ordered there, and I don't know how they got court ordered there, because why would courts think that it was okay to send them some strange place? But there were girls there that, like, all they did was talk back, Well, I talked back to my parents, and I was like, is that all you did? Is that all you did? Yeah, but yeah, I'm telling you, like, yeah, there were girls that aged out and decided to stay, and then they had to go. They wasn't allowed, once you turned 18, you wasn't allowed to be, because it was underage in the Rebekah, under 18. But once you turned 18, if you were still staying there, they moved you somewhere else.
To the
And
Jubilee. Yeah.
and then I guess that's when you're allowed to get married, or you're allowed to have dates, or you're allowed to, like, court, or whatever the roll off thing was, is meet, or was it arranged marriage, or arranged this or arranged that? I don't know, because I never, like I said, I was 15 and I turned 16 there. I was still 16 when I left. And so.
Okay. The thing is, a lot of the there's a place in the back called Trailer Row.
Yeah, back there. Yeah.
Where all
Yeah, I know.
the
I'm pointing my finger there. Yeah.
it's where all the people that the workers. And there was one
Yeah.
lady actually who came on. Her name was Dottie, and she was there probably the same time you were, and she married one of the guys that was a worker there. He was I think he was with the anchor, and he aged out, but they got married. They were basically in the bag. You know how, like you said, roll off didn't allow TV, didn't allow anything like, over there on Trailer Row, they had TVs. A lot of them were shooting dope together. I mean,
That's on your thing, and that doesn't surprise me, because once you get out of where you're not supervised by the authorities anymore, next thing you know, and especially if somebody, I could see that happening. I could see that happening when you're like, and I think it was maybe a little bit of, like, this one doing that one, but like women running around with this one's husband, and that one running around with that one. I mean, once you got out of the confinement where you wasn't being watched or monitored or anything like that, and you were allowed to work on the farm and everything, or do whatever on the farm that I don't know what they had you do on the farm. I know that I used to go pick oranges, and they'd load us up on a bus to go pick oranges. But anyway, the farm, I mean, it was a self, like, they grew a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the people that would marry, they would give them a little trailer, and that's where they went to.
Yep.
This one was marrying that one. That one was marrying this one. They've, oh, it's blessed. I think they had weddings at the damn church.
Oh, yeah.
That as far as I can remember. Now you got to remember, we wasn't allowed to turn around and look and stare at nobody. If we turned around, we got demerits and got in trouble.
Yeah.
So we had to act like robots.
So
you wasn't even allowed to look at people when you marched back into the building. They marched you single file in and single file out. You weren't allowed to turn around and look, or look at the street, or look at anything.
Do you remember the theme song? Roll Off's theme song?
Oh, Lord.
They sang it all the time.
Start it and see if I can finish it.
Was it, I care not today what tomorrow may bring, in shadow or sunshine, living by faith. Living by faith. That was his theme song. They sang it all the time. So.
See, my memory, like, I'm telling you, these are just like recent stuff that's come back to me, that because I have forgotten about so long ago. And yeah, I mean, everything sounds like like living by faith. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I just don't remember the song. Not today.
They sang it every time at church. The first one they sang. was living by faith. Yep, that was what he lived by. And the thing was,
remember how he raised up his hand and we would stand up and tell a verse?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he would like say this, and then we would stand up, all of us stand up, blah 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 blah.
I've seen that because he'll turn around and go Psalm 121. Then all of a sudden they all just
I will
start.
lift up my eyes into the hills. From
like
whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which
it's
made heaven and earth.
And it's like robots.
Yeah, we would stand up
monotone and just talking.
Yeah,
talking. Like
I remember that one. I still remember that one. I think we had to say that one about Psalm 121. Bloop.
And then sometimes after you would finish the verse, he would just start singing, and then he would expect the girls to start singing with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why we had to choir practice.
He wasn't a very good singer.
No, but he was old way back then. I mean, he was old. He looked old when I was there. But
Faye Cameron was, man, her voice was terrible.
Oh yeah, she would get up and sing, and it would be like, or like
had like a vibrato to it, really bad.
Yeah, and she just thought she was the greatest singer in the world, and it would be like scratching claws, like my cat scratching on the freaking mirror. Like it was almost like, oh my God, you know, it was like she was pretending she was singing opera, but she was no opera singer.
No.
Well, bless her heart. She thought she was good.
Well, you know, they banned her
she probably brainwashed too. It was like everybody's brainwashed there.
Yeah. Well, after Roloff went, then Wiley Cameron took over. And
what the hell did he do?
He was
I'm
pastor.
telling you, he was up to no good.
He was a playboy. That's what he was.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. He would flirt.
He was one of those guys that you would see if he was a worldly man. He'd have the silk shirt with all the chains, all the gold chains, with the little pencil mustache, trying to pick up on the women. That was Wiley Cameron.
Yeah.
And rumor has it that somebody saw his son, Wiley Jr., at Bethesda. Bethesda Home that they had. And he was drunk. He had bottles of booze in his car. But that's just hearsay, but it wouldn't surprise me.
No, me neither. It wouldn't surprise me if you said anything about anybody that was there that did stuff that they, everything that they like, everything that got enforced on us, Yeah. When they went home from work, they doing just the opposite, Yeah.
So, I mean, this right now, I mean, if you were to go on Facebook and look up the People's Baptist Church, it's still there. It's not, it's just a broken place now. It's just a church. It had to sell off property to pay, I guess, to keep the lights on, I guess. So some of the property's gone.
Well, they had a big old property. Whatever happened to Roloff's house? Because I finally,
it's still there.
Like, remember I told you like they'd move you around. So I finally got to a room where I had my view was the church and the church next door that we walked to all the time, and then Brother Roloff's house. We always call him Brother Roloff. Brother Roloff's house, and I could see the whole field. The big old house with the columns and everything. I've been in that house. I've been in that house. We got invited. There's a group of us girls that got invited over there to have like cake and stuff one night. And it was weird. He just wanted a group of us, and his wife was there. And we got invited. It was probably about 10 or 12 of us. And we went over and we had cake. And I don't know what they served to drink. I know it wasn't coffee or Coke. I forget. I don't know. But yeah. And when we were like, wow, hey, it wasn't that fancy. The outside looked better than the inside was okay, but it was just like too big of a house for two people. The way I was looking,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
why
Lester
y'all
Roloff
living in that house like that?
Lester Roloff was kind of a health nut, you know.
Oh yeah.
He talked about about using just a little butter whenever you're cooking. You don't want it too greasy, he said. Fish, eat a lot of fish, drink plenty of water. You got to have water. Water's life, right? And then
well, let me tell you something. At our meals that we got served, the only time that we was allowed to have anything to drink at our meals
milk
was when it was that damn goat's milk. We never, and the only time we got the goat's milk is because on Saturdays, we got served granola and we had the goat's milk and you had to hold your nose to drink it. I'm not kidding. Because when, it was stinky. It was terrible. It was goat's milk. That's what they called it. Goat's milk. It smells because it's goat's milk. Yeah. I never got used to it. You could pour it on your granola, but the granola had a sweet taste. And I'm sure it was homemade granola. And then on Sundays, we would have peanut butter and pancakes. Every Sunday, peanut butter and pancakes. They'd serve pancakes and they put peanut butter on it.
Some people that I've talked to who went to Rebekah and Bethesda and Happiness Home for Girls, it was a Happiness Hill or something. They said that the goat's milk was spiked with something because
it smelled.
A lot of them would say that when they got there, they never went on their period the whole time they were there.
Yeah. Something was off. I remember not having a period for a long time. I remember, but I thought that was because I was upset and I was nervous and I think I started my period when I was around 12 or something.
Yeah.
But when I went there, my period went weird.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was because I was like absconded from my house and my nerves and this and that. I really never told anybody, I'm not having my period.
Right.
Because, when you're new on your period, you don't know to tell anybody. And then 9 times out of 10, if you tell somebody, you might be accused of doing something.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
One girl that went to the Bethesda was on the podcast. She said that it tasted like onions.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It had the worst.
So, like I said, people were speculating that maybe they put something in that milk
because they didn't want us on our periods because of period pads.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because they don't want to pay for that or it's too much or I don't know. But there was no boys around. We couldn't get to no boys, so nobody's going to get pregnant.
Well, you had Wiley Cameron there, so you got to be careful there.
Oh yeah, he was he would flirt. He would flirt. Now, his flirting, like with me, like that weird flirting, like I was a little bit more street smart and I didn't like him. I didn't really like him. And he could tell who he, like, you know what I mean? Like they will, he probably was a pedophile,
Probably.
Like I am sure that the ones that would like come on to his advances, you know what I mean? Like, and his advance would be small, come up to you to help you with your homework, put his arm around you a certain way or something. And then you let him hold on to you a little bit longer or something like that. That's how them old men do. Like they find out, but I wasn't no part of that. I thought he was, I don't know. I thought he was kind of a jerk, To me, he just seemed like he was full of himself and he was pompous.
And creepy.
Yes, it's just weird. So, no,
Maybe that's the reason why Faye Cameron was so mean to the girls.
Yeah, she's jealous. She's definitely jealous.
Could have been.
Definitely.
I mean,
she was.
She was nothing,
jealous.
She was nothing to look at. Nothing.
But she was. and he was over friendly, you know, he was very over friendly, I thought, you know.
Yeah.
And she was just so dang, 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 you know, like you could never become friends with her. But he wasn't nobody to become friends with either. So
Yeah.
unless you felt like if you became friends with him and you let him hug you longer than he was supposed to, then it would be okay. I mean, I am sure that there were girls there that didn't hardly get no much attention, and they felt like that attention was meaningful, but it really wasn't. You had some young girls there. There were girls there that were younger than me.
Yeah.
We were almost all kind of the same age, you know, but not, we were just, you know, 2-3 years apart in between.
I brought you to the side here. If you can see the
Yeah,
picture
there's the
now.
church. There's the
Yep.
church. There's the building. There's where the girls, and there's a school back there.
Yep.
There's the fields. Yep.
And on the right
Yep.
hand side was the come and dine right there. Right.
Yeah.
On the right side of the school. Yep. And were all these were
there's
all
the back.
the little
There's
bunch
the
of
back there. That damn paved play field, you
Yep.
know.
And then you have this bunch of trees over on the left hand side. Right behind those
Yeah,
trees.
I don't see Lester Roloff's house.
Well, his house is behind those trees.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but right now the church, it's just a church. They do have 2 homes open. They got the Jubilee home and the City of Refuge open, but only for adults. They don't deal with children anymore.
Well, they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be.
And it's not one of those things you have to voluntarily go there. You know what I mean? You have to, go to say, "Hey, I need help or whatever. I need to get into this home," and they'll help you.
Well, it would be good for homeless people, you know.
But they
There are people
charge.
that are.
They charge you now.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, homeless people can't pay for that.
And they allow your friends or family, whoever is out there in the world, to send you money. That way you could buy things, right?
Oh yeah, my mom sent me stuff all the time. My mom sent me money. I know there was one girl that talked about chocolate, like you weren't allowed to eat chocolate there. And she says, "I remember the carob." Yeah, if you had money on your books, you could, it was like on the weekend, like on Saturday night or something, you could go to the store if you had money.
The general store.
You could buy
yes.
the carob, you could buy the carob I would always buy a carob chocolate bar. I would save my money because I couldn't ask my mom for money all the time.
Yeah.
Because my mom was sending me stuff, you know, because she sent me there. We were, you know, I'd write, oh, and I know she sent me a guitar one time because I was going to learn how to play guitar and all this. I mean, she, you know, my mom did, she kept up with me while I was there. She wrote me. Now, you was only allowed to write your parents or your grandparents. And the only person I could write was my mom because I didn't know my grandparents' address or anything. And my grandparents didn't even care to write me or anything because my grandparents, they never had nothing to do with us kids. My grandparents they're dead now, so I can talk about them, but they didn't like us. They didn't like my mom's children. So
What I would like to do sometime in the near future for some of the people that are in the comment section, like Love on Telluride and Ruby, people that have been there, I want to get at least a whole bunch of the girls together on a podcast.
Oh God, yeah.
Have
I
like
mean, there is
a
one
reunion.
girl that was there. There was one girl that was there. Her name was Starla, and I know her last name, so I'm not going to say it. But she was a good friend of mine. I often wonder what happened to her. Like, what happened to Starla? You know,
Yeah.
we were really good friends there. She was kind of cool. I liked her. And now she went home before I did, but her parents just come and got her. You know, they just come and got her. She was there one day and she's gone the next. But and there were other, but I don't remember the names or anything. So it'd be interesting to see if somebody still remembers me. But like I said, I was there in 76. So
all the people out there in the comments section, if you know somebody who went there and they want to come on, I'm doing on Monday, this coming Monday. I don't know what the date is. It's probably the 15th, 17th. It's the 17th of March.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an open lines, and we're going to go ahead and see how many people we can talk about getting on the Rebekah Home, because there's some other people from the Family Foundation Home as well that want to do something like that. So just I could fit 9 people on this podcast.
Really?
Yes.
That's
and I
pretty
can
cool.
rotate them out every once in a while. But
Yeah.
Get as many Rebekah Home girls that went there to come and just kind of like a reunion type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is nice to talk about it, because I'm gonna tell you something. You talking about it helps you, because you never forget. I've never forgotten. I just hadn't talked about it in so long. And there's like really nobody I can talk about it to, because that's way out in Texas and I live way up here in Ohio.
Right.
And now I'm from Georgia, so I don't know if you recognize the accent or anything, but I'm from Georgia.
I recognize the accent.
I'm from Georgia. So I was born and raised in Georgia. So I've been going back and forth from Ohio to Georgia. Like I'll be up here for a little while, and then I'll move back to Georgia. Oh God, I think I got off on the wrong track. But yeah, it would be nice if somebody would remember me, and then I could see if I could remember them, because not talking about it for so many years, and then finding out that somebody still cares about it. It's fascinating to me. It's very fascinating, because there's people out there that place probably, did like whatever, like traumatizing or something. I don't know. I was traumatized when I got there. So I know that. And I was traumatized the entire time I was there. I was always afraid of this, always afraid of that, always afraid of getting in trouble over here, always afraid of getting in trouble over there. What do you do over here? What do you do? Make sure you do this, make sure you do that. You have to make sure you did everything that they said. And they had a lot of rules there. They had a ton of rules.
What's funny
there was a lot of girls there that were gay,
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been gay or anything, but they had girls there that were gay, and they would get caught, doing girl stuff, what girls do, but and they would get in big time trouble for that. That's probably that lockup shit. Sorry for using,
that's fine,
using profanity, but I mean, yeah. And so, but I don't know. I mean, look, either you're gay or you're not. And if you get sent there and you're gay, and then you're in this big old building with all these girls, and now you've got all these girls.
Yeah.
And so no wonder that the girls they had gay girls that came there gay. Okay. They was already gay, before they got sent there.
Yeah.
And then they were gay while they're there. And then they have access to all these other girls. There's a building full of girls. Yeah. Let's see, And so, yeah, you would get in trouble for that. There were girls like they come around and do room checks. They come around and do room checks a couple times a night. If you got caught in the bed with another girl, boom, you was in big time trouble. Boom. And girls would jump into bed with each other and sleep with each other.
I'm sure Faye was upset and enraged while Wiley Cameron was kind of turned on.
Oh, sure. He probably, yeah.
He probably loved it. He loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. So. He was a little, yeah, he's, oh. Yeah.
Strange people.
See, my memories are coming back. So I'm telling you, it's like, like I'm thinking and thinking, yeah, I'll go to bed tonight and be like, oh, I wish I had said this. Oh, I wish I had said that,
Well, like I said, but I want to do another podcast with a lot of Rebekah girls. That way, all the memories flood back.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
when you can remind each other.
Just had one text me right now, so I'm going to text her after the podcast. But she was at Rebekah Home, so they're watching.
I wish I could. Yeah, I mean, you know what's strange is there's probably a lot of girls that were there. They're not even around. They dead. And the ones that are still alive, like me and everything, like they've moved on with their lives. They have grandchildren. I have grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so long ago, and you're like, but some people just can never forget. My sister, to this day, my older sister, still says, "You still blame me for," I'm like, Diane. Well, I said her name, sorry.
That's
Like,
all right.
you didn't have nothing to do with it. You done run off. It was all mom. It was all mom. But she still will bring it up and say, "I think you still hold that against me. Why you got sent there?" I'm like, "No, it didn't have nothing to do with you. It's not her crazy mom." And my mom's in a nursing home now, so I don't have to worry about her. Like, but I'm gonna tell you something. Get my mom. If you got to talk to my mom right now, she'd be like, "No, no, I did what I could do. I did that because and it's no such a thing. No such a thing. No, she was foolish and she made some wrong decisions about having to raise her kids. I have a son. He was unruly when he was a teenager. He was unruly with me. He was, but I didn't send him off somewhere. I didn't put him in no damn homes or anything like that. I'd say, "Hey, go stay with your dad for a little while," you know, or he spent time, he would go stay with the grandparents a little while, because he just, didn't want to follow the rules at home. But I would tell him, "Okay, you can go stay with them. I give you 2-3 months. You're going to want to come back home because you don't have it as good at their house as you have it at mine." He just had some small rules and things. My son, he's my one and only son. He's going to be 46 on his birthday. He's good. He's good. But when he was younger, he was but I didn't like try to send him off or put him in jail or put him in some weird home. Family takes care of family.
Yeah.
So
Shit happens.
you don't send your kids to some weird cult place that you don't know nothing about. My mom knew nothing about that place. She didn't know nothing about it.
But she
And
knew.
I've told her stories. But I've
She,
told her I've told her the stories, and she's like, "Oh dear, oh my," I'm like, "Mom, that really happened."
well, she knew it was a church, so I'm sure she probably thought that, okay, it's a church, then is nothing wrong. They're going to do right.
Mm,
Yeah. Well,
no,
they didn't have the
no,
internet back then.
no, they didn't. They, you can't like look up and Google them
Right.
and see stuff.
Different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dawn. We're going to go ahead and end the podcast now. Thanks for coming on. Like I said,
All right. Well, it's nice talking to you.
yes, if you want to, come on again, like I said, I want to get some girls on here. And if you think of it,
you can email me or you can text me. I
right.
gave you my info.
If you think of anything else, you know what I mean?
I know. I'll have to like put the big brain on that and like, you know what I'm gonna do? Like
Yeah.
I watched your podcast. I stayed up like way late, and then I looked at it the next day, and I watched and watched and watched, and but I think I need to like look some more, just to refresh the memories and stuff. It was very interesting what you said about everybody out on the farm running up and down the roads doing this, running up and down the roads doing that, because we didn't know, and then what you said about the weddings of the people. I remember that. I remember. It's just hard to remember back that far,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is true about the boy that got abused. And he got abused at the boys' home, and the authorities came in, and it was all hush hush. We weren't allowed to talk about it. We heard about it. How we heard about it, I don't know. I think Brother Roloff might have said something in church about it. And then we were like, oh, wow, hey, yeah. They're going to come get us next. Take us out of here. Well, it never happened. Nobody came. Nobody cared.
But it's all coming out now. So
yeah.
Better late than never.
Well, only thing we can do now is talk about it. And who's going to do what? Everybody's dead. You know, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing really that you can do. It's just that people need to know not to let it happen again. Don't let these organized churches do this, because, you know, and honestly, I don't think that they can anymore either, because there's too much. Like we're all, you know, the internet, the World Wide Web, the this, the that. I mean, everybody's tuned in to like news happens right then and there. Like nobody can like take you off and hide you somewhere
right.
without somebody finding out that you're there.
Yeah. It's not like, you know, somebody does something in Texas and the people in, let's say, Ohio don't know what happened, because you have the internet now. You know what's happening all over the world. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You can't hide it anymore. Once it's on the internet, it's on there for good.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dawn, like I said, thank you again. Like I said, if you think of anything else, we're going to get podcast going. I'll put it on Facebook. I'll put it on YouTube on a post or something. That way people can see it. But it was definitely brings back memories for me too. Because like I said, I was there. I didn't go through as much as the girls did or the boys that were in the homes, but I saw it. I mean, I had my share of licks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just got just one licks that one time for running off.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, trying to run away. And I don't know, I had no plan. And I shouldn't have took those two girls with me. But what if I had gotten away and somebody picked me up? I'm out in the middle of nowhere. It's Corpus Christi, Texas. Some stranger could have picked me up, and God knows what would happen to me.
Yep.
So, but I just know that I didn't want to be there. So I felt like I'm going to run. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to go to this store. I'm going to find a store, and I'm going to call somebody, and they'll come and get me. I didn't even have no damn money, you know? I mean, you know, so it was strange. But yeah, that's the only time I got those damn licks. And I'm going to tell you something. I didn't want to get them no more after that. I'm surprised they didn't break bones. So that's how hard they were.
All right.
But either way. All right, hon.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate it. Like I said,
all righty.
I'll keep in touch with you and let you know about what's going on with the other girls that want to come on. All right.
All right.
Okay. We'll see you later.
Nice to hear from you again.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. I want to thank everybody for coming on. I want to thank Dawn once again. So if you were at the Rebekah Home, and I see a Love on Telluride texted me, Ruby, if you want to text me, and you want to get something together, I know I'll probably going to talk to a lady named Barbara, and Donna might want to come on. She texted me too. So just give me a text and let me know, and we'll make it happen. Like I said, I can have up to 9 people on this podcast at one time. That's all this will. That's all the StreamYard will hold. So okay, so we'll see. Open lines on Monday, the 17th. Okay, so for the I'll put a event out for it so people can see it. So for the Hammer Podcast, I'm Jason. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other, and we'll see you Monday on Open Lines. All right. Have a good evening.